Welcome back to the Iraqi Dinar channel. Everyone, thank you for tuning in, because today's update is one of the most shocking political twists we've seen in years. Picture this. An election happens, the people speak, the votes are counted, and the results are clear. But instead of accepting the outcome, one man who lost turns around and tries to place himself right back onto the throne anyway. That's the chaos unfolding right now with Nouri al-Maliki, and people across Iraq are stunned at the audacity of it. It almost sounds like satire, like something out of a political cartoon. But no, this is real. Unfolding inside actual government circles, and to make it even crazier, whispers are growing louder that Donald Trump is monitoring this situation closely, and insiders expect him to make a major statement or move at any moment. So today, we're breaking down exactly what's happening, why it matters, and what could happen next for Iraq and the future of the dinar. The idea that someone could lose an election and still maneuver behind the scenes to secure power sounds unbelievable. But Maliki has always been a master of political survival. The man has a long history in Iraqi politics, and whether people love him or hate him, everyone agrees he plays the game hard. But this time, his attempt to push himself back into power after losing has crossed a line even many of his own allies didn't expect. People inside Baghdad are calling it a supple coronation, a desperate attempt to reclaim relevance in a country that has moved beyond his era. Officials say he's lobbying, negotiating, and pressuring different factions to back him. But the public backlash is growing by the minute. Citizens are posting videos. Iraqi commentators are mocking the idea, and even some within his bloc are quietly distancing themselves from the chaos. The most shocking part of this situation is not that Maliki wants power. Politicians always want power, but the way he's trying to frame it, instead of acknowledging defeat, he's acting like the election result was merely a suggestion he can ignore. It's the kind of move that shakes public trust, especially in a country trying to build transparency, stability, and international credibility. Iraq has worked for years to strengthen its institutions, and now, suddenly, one man is trying to force himself back into the spotlight against the will of voters. It's not just disrespectful to the process, it's dangerous. Political instability affects everything from investment to national security. And even the currency market feels the shockwaves when uncertainty hits the government. Another layer to this story is the reaction from Iraqi citizens, who are not staying silent. Social media in Iraq is exploding with frustration, humor, memes, and disbelief. People are joking that Maliki is voting for himself in his own imaginary election, while others are furious, demanding that the government step in to prevent any unconstitutional moves. This public reaction matters, because one thing politicians fear more than losing elections is losing the support of the streets. The Iraqi people have pushed back against corruption before, and they're watching closely to see how far Maliki is willing to go with this power grab attempt. For many Iraqis, this isn't just about Maliki, it's about sending a message that nobody can overturn the will of the people. International observers are also paying attention, especially because anything that disrupts Iraqi politics has a ripple effect across the Middle East. When a major figure attempts an illegal political comeback, neighboring countries react, global analysts react, and yes, Washington reacts. The U.S. has been monitoring Iraq's political landscape for years, and high-level insiders are buzzing with chatter that Donald Trump is preparing to weigh in. Some say he's waiting for the right moment. Others say he's already been briefed, and a few claim he's poised to send a clear warning to anyone trying to destabilize the government. Whether you support Trump or not, the fact remains that his voice carries weight in situations like this, and many people believe his response could influence how quickly this situation is resolved. What makes this story even more intense is the timing. Iraq is at a critical moment, trying to stabilize its economy, strengthen its currency, and build momentum toward reforms that could impact the Iraqi dinar's future. Investors are watching every political move closely, because political stability is directly connected to financial confidence. When news breaks that a major political figure is trying to force himself back into power after losing, people naturally start wondering what this means for Iraq's future direction. The dinar market thrives on predictability, and this kind of chaos is the opposite of that. So people around the world, from currency watchers to analysts, are keeping a close eye on every update coming from Baghdad. Inside Iraq, government officials are reportedly holding urgent meetings to prevent this situation from escalating. Some factions want Maliki sidelined immediately, others want to negotiate, and a few are calling for a total restructuring of political alliances. The tension is building, and everyone wants to know whether Maliki will back down or push forward with his attempt. But knowing Maliki's history, he rarely backs down quietly. He's known for playing long, strategic political chess, and he's gambling that he can outmaneuver enough forces to regain a seat of power. But this time, the backlash is big, loud, and widespread, and a lot of people believe he may have miscalculated the public's patience. Meanwhile, rumors are circulating that foreign diplomats are urging Iraqi leaders to stick to the election results and prevent any illegal political maneuvers. Countries who depend on Iraq for energy, trade, and regional balance don't want instability right now. Iraq is too important, too strategically located, and too deeply connected to global interests for another political crisis. This external pressure could be a major factor in how this situation eventually resolves. And insiders claim that diplomatic calls have already been made, demanding respect for the voters' decision. If those reports are accurate, Maliki's attempt could face international resistance on top of domestic rejection. One thing that's very clear is that the Iraqi people are tired. They want stability, progress, and strong leadership, not power struggles, not backdoor deals, and definitely not a political figure trying to put himself back in the driver's seat after losing. Many Iraqis feel that this moment is a test for the country. A moment where leaders must prove whether they truly respect democracy or whether they'll let old habits return. And honestly, that's a big reason why this story is going viral. It's not just political drama. It's a moment that could define the future of Iraq's government. And here's where Trump comes back into the picture. People online are already saying, "Don't worry, Trump will take care of it." Whether that's confidence, humor, or faith in his influence, the sentiment is spreading fast. Some believe Trump will speak out soon. Others think he'll pressure certain figures behind the scenes. And a few are convinced that once he weighs in, the entire situation will shift instantly. Is that true? We don't know yet. But what we do know is that many people are waiting for his next move. And the fact that his name is being added into this conversation shows how big and unpredictable this situation has become, as updates continue rolling in. More insiders are confirming that Maliki is actively lobbying to put himself in a powerful position, despite the election results. He's pushing, negotiating, calling in favors, and trying to reshape alliances behind the scenes. But every time a new leak comes out, the public gets more outraged. People are saying, how many times do we have to move past the old political games? Others are asking why someone who lost fair and square still thinks he deserves the throne. This frustration is building, and it could pressure political leaders to step in soon and put a stop to any unconstitutional attempts. Despite all the chaos, the markets haven't reacted dramatically yet, but analysts warn that if this political drama continues, it could shake investor confidence. The dinar's future depends heavily on stability, reforms, and a predictable government. If this situation escalates, it could slow progress or create unnecessary uncertainty. That's why so many people in the IQD community are watching this story closely. They want to know whether Iraq will stay on the path toward growth and reform, or whether political battles will slow everything down. Everyone understands how important this moment is, and nobody wants to see progress stalled. Inside political circles, many officials are trying to calm the situation. They're reassuring people that the election results will be respected and that no illegal power grab will be allowed. But other officials are warning that Maliki has influence, connections, and a long political history, and they're urging leaders not to underestimate him. This internal disagreement is creating even more uncertainty, as competing factions argue over how to handle the situation. And in the middle of it all, the Iraqi people are watching, waiting, and demanding that their voice be honored. Some analysts believe Maliki is trying to test the system, to see how far he can push, and whether anyone will challenge him strongly enough to stop him. If that's true, then the next few days will be critical. If leaders push back firmly, this situation could end quickly. But if they hesitate, Maliki might gain momentum. That's what makes this such a tense moment. Nobody knows which way this political storm will turn, and everyone is trying to predict the outcome. It's a high-stakes game, and the entire country is watching. In the middle of all this, people online are joking, saying if they turn out to be right about what happens next, the audience should buy them cookies. And honestly, humor is helping many Iraqis get through the stress of political drama. People are laughing, arguing, debating, and sharing their theories about what's going to happen next. But underneath the humor is real concern, because even though people are cracking jokes, they understand how serious this situation is for Iraq's future. The next major development is expected soon, and many believe that once Trump speaks, whether he supports the election results, calls out Maliki, or signals support for Iraq's democratic process, the entire narrative could shift. A strong statement could pressure political factions.com, markets, and reassure citizens. But until he speaks, speculation will continue. People are checking news updates constantly, trying to catch any sign of what his position might be. And the more time passes, the more intense the anticipation becomes. Meanwhile, sources inside Iraqi parliament say that leaders are discussing emergency measures to prevent any unconstitutional moves. Some want to pass new protections, others want public statements reaffirming the election results, and a few want to remove Maliki's influence entirely. But achieving consensus in Iraqi politics is always difficult, especially when powerful figures are involved. This internal struggle could determine whether Iraq exits this crisis quickly or gets pulled deeper into political tension. Across Iraq, citizens are pleading for calm and stability. They want leaders to prioritize the economy, security, and reforms, not power games. Families, workers, and young people are saying, "We voted, respect our vote." It's a simple message, but a powerful one, and it reflects the hopes of millions of Iraqis who want a better future. And that's the heart of this whole situation. The people are demanding that their voice matters. Whether Maliki listens or not remains to be seen. In the international community, analysts warn that if Iraq faces prolonged political drama, foreign investment could slow down. Investors need stability, and political uncertainty is one of the fastest ways to make investors nervous. This matters because Iraq is pushing hard to reform its financial system, strengthen the dinar, and move into a new era of economic confidence. A political fight at this moment is the last thing the country needs. That's why global interest in this situation is increasing rapidly. It's not just an Iraqi story, it has international impact. As the situation intensifies, some inside Iraq are advising Maliki to step aside and avoid a confrontation. They argue that pushing too hard could damage his legacy, weaken his coalition, and isolate him politically. But others in his circle reportedly believe this is his last real chance to regain power, and they're encouraging him to fight. That internal conflict inside Maliki's camp adds another unpredictable layer to the story, and it could influence his next move. The coming days will determine whether Maliki's attempted power grab fizzles out or escalates into a full political showdown. If leaders act quickly, they can defuse the situation. If not, this could become one of the biggest political clashes Iraq has seen in years. And with Trump's potential reaction hanging over everything, the entire situation feels like a pressure cooker waiting to explode. Everyone is watching closely, and every update feels more dramatic than the last. People in the IQD community are especially alert right now. They want to know whether this drama will affect reforms, stability, and Iraq's long-term direction. While analysts don't expect any immediate impact on the dinar, prolonged instability could create uncertainty that delays progress. So the community is watching, discussing, and hoping Iraq's leaders make the right decisions quickly. Stability is the foundation for everything that comes next. Many believe this situation will ultimately end with Maliki being pushed aside. The public pressure is strong, the political resistance is growing, and the international community is paying attention. It's unlikely Iraq's leaders will allow a self-appointed comeback to disrupt the country right now. But until official statements are made and the situation is resolved, the tension will continue. And that's why the whole world is waiting for the next big announcement. As we wrap up today's breakdown, the irony of this whole situation is that Maliki's attempt to reclaim power may end up weakening his influence even further. Instead of making a comeback, he may have sparked a backlash that pushes him further from the center of Iraqi politics. And as for Trump, his next move could shift the entire atmosphere in a matter of minutes, whether he stays silent or steps in. Everyone is watching closely for what happens next. Thank you all for watching and staying updated during this intense political moment. Iraq is at a crossroads, and the next few days will shape the future of its government and stability. If you want more updates like this, stay tuned to the Iraqi Dinar channel. We'll continue bringing you the latest developments as they unfold. And hey, if the predictions turn out right, maybe you all really do owe someone those cookies.